What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Waiver Wire Queen, and today we have a very special guest. Abutta's in the building. What's going on?
What's going on, people?
Abutta is going to bless us with his top 5 rookie quarterbacks going into your fantasy football dynasty league drafts. We know the NFL draft is coming up this week, and so he's going to drop some gems and make sure you are prepared for your upcoming draft. Let's get ready to do
To
this.
the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast with Waiver Wire Queen.
So Abutta has put together a list of the top 5 rookie quarterbacks who are the best, and he's going to let us know why he has these quarterbacks ranked the way he does. So there's no surprise here. We got Malik Willis, the top of your list. What's going on with Malik Willis?
Well, I just want to say this is my personal opinion. Everybody has their own. I believe Malik Willis is the most talented quarterback in this draft, or it's to say he has the most potential in this draft. I won't say he's just the most gifted out of all the players in this draft. Of course, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's got the arm, he's got a cannon. There are questions about his maturity and his character, whether he's gonna, really dig in and play quarterback, if he's gonna learn the playbook, learn how to read defenses and whatnot. But other than that, I think he's as sure a shot that you're gonna get for this draft class.
Right, I feel you on that. I actually have Willis at the top of my board. I think for the most part, everyone has Malik Willis as the quarterback to draft first. So what's the best landing spot for Malik Willis?
The best landing spot for Malik Willis, in my opinion, would be the Atlanta Falcons. I think he would fit in with that offense. You could get him. You already got Kyle Pitts in the mix. You have a young quarterback, young tight end, and I think he would just fit real well with that offense. Now, of course, I'm not sure if that's going to happen because the scouts are saying that they believe Atlanta is confident in Marcus Mariota. All that tells me is they're tanking for 2022. So we talking Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and them kids. So for me, Atlanta would be the best fit. Most likely, I'm going to lean to the experts. They think he's going to end up in Seattle. And I think Seattle actually be a good fit for him as well. But I think Atlanta would be a better fit.
Yeah, Atlanta, they definitely need to address quarterback. But if they are content with Mariota this year, that means they are definitely looking at the 2023 draft. If he was to land in Seattle, I think that would be a good destination. They have 2 really good wide receivers, have a nice young tight end, running back, a little shaky, but I think they'll be able to make it work. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe Seattle. I mean, Seattle is a favorable destination as well. They do have a lot of pieces in place. The offensive line could use a whole lot of work because Russell Wilson took a lot of punishment for years behind that offensive line. That's the only reason why I don't think it's a favorable destination for a rookie quarterback, because that means he's gonna have to run for his life. And I mean, he's already getting pegged as a running quarterback anyway. So I guess it's kind of kismet, but I just don't think that's a good situation for a rookie quarterback to go in, because you don't want to get your quarterback broke up in the first season.
Yeah. Kind of feel like it's disrespectful. I've heard a few analysts refer to him as a running back, and it's like same old story every year in the drafts.
Pretty much.
So let's look at who you have too. It's a surprise here. What's going on with Matt
Corral? And this is just of course, it's a coin toss between who people think is the most pro-ready out of all the quarterbacks. In my opinion, Matt Corral is the most pro-ready out of all of the quarterbacks in this draft. He is the arm talent in this draft. he could come in and he could be a immediate starter, immediate passer. Now, of course, the stigma with him was that he fell apart in a lot of the big games, and that's a hard thing to get over. But he was the only quarterback to throw for 300 yards against that vaunted Alabama defense. I think that was saying a lot, especially seeing as how I don't think anybody else on that team is going to end up in the first round of a draft or the second round. I think he's going to be it. So I think it says a lot that Matt Corral was able to showcase himself against Alabama. And I think he's, hands down, I think he's the most pro ready out of all of those guys. And he's the actual arm talent.
Okay. Best landing spot for Matt.
Best landing spot for Matt, I would say the Carolina Panthers. I think he could come into the Carolina Panthers and immediately stabilize that offense with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and of course my favorite, Tommy Tremble. I think he would come in and fit right in with that offense and get it rolling. Now, of course, the scouts are saying that Carolina's in love with Kenny Pickett, who we're going to talk about later. But I think Carolina would be the best fit. Where I think he likely lands is I have him going at number 19 to the New Orleans Saints, which is not a bad spot at all either.
Yeah,
Not
I don't think
saying
that's a
anything
bad
bad about Jameis Winston, right? But I think at this stage of his career, I'm not sure Jameis Winston is going to ever get to be that guy again. I think Matt Corral will be able to come in there, probably sit for a season behind Jameis Winston, if not win the job, and I think he'd be ready.
So do you think if he was to go to the Panthers, he would be able to take Donald's job
immediately? Anybody
Really?
who goes to Carolina is gonna dethrone Sam Darnold. That ain't gonna be hard at all.
Ooh, I hear that. I hear that. I hear that. That's a not too shocking, but I have heard that they are in love with Kenny, so I'm thinking they're gonna pick him there, and I don't think that's gonna be the best destination for him. But we'll talk a little bit more about him later. Number 3 on your list, you got good old Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. He was actually my favorite quarterback last year, just because I admire his gameplay. I like his grit. I think he was unfairly knocked for his performance against Alabama. And I think it was more of an indictment on that team as opposed to him. It was literally, if you watch that game, all they had going for them was Desmond Ritter and Alec Pierce, who they were able to neutralize very, very easily. So they really didn't have anything else going on the offensive side of the ball. And it hurt. It hurt him. It hurt, his stock. A lot of people feel differently about him, but I actually think he's very pro ready. And I'm interested to see where he lands.
I actually am targeting Ritter in one of my drafts. My the league that I'm in, where I am in complete rebuild mode, I don't think I'll land Willis. I'm not sure if he was at number 2, I would take him. I'm just not 100% sure yet. But if I don't end up with Willis, I'll most likely target him or Matt. Best landing spot for Ritter.
Best landing spot for Ritter, in my opinion, would be the Washington Commanders. They got a lot of good pieces over there. Good, decent running game. I like Terry McLaurin. I think they have the makings of a pretty good offense. Now, of course, they did trade for Carson Wentz, but I don't see Carson Wentz as being a long-term option solution in Washington. He's just too broke up at this stage of his career. That's what I meant about being on teams where the offensive line ain't good. They let him do too much running, and he got broke up. He'll never be that MVP form that he was in year 2. And I think Desmond Ritter could come in and be a much better fit with that offense.
I agree. That is definitely a good destination. The Commanders, the Redskins, Washington football team, whatever the hell they call them.
But
I really don't like the Commanders, but yeah, I think if he was to go to,
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying if he was to land with the Commanders, I think that would be a good destination for him, because I don't see Wentz as a long-term solution. I don't know why any of these teams continue to trade for him. It's not going to happen. So That would be a smart move for them. They definitely need to address the quarterback
Right.
position. What was you going to say?
My likely landing space for him is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think with Kenny Pickett off the board, I believe with Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, and possibly Matt Corral off the board, I believe that Pittsburgh goes with Ritter.
And that wouldn't be a bad destination for him because they have weapons. They have, the young running back. You have some wide receivers. Although I do think they need to add another one. They have a nice young tight end. And it's stable. I think for these quarterbacks in this draft, stability is important. And some of these quarterbacks it's gonna kill their career before it gets started because they're gonna go to situations and like with the Panthers, we believe it's either win or you may be out. So
Right.
may not be the best choice destination for these young quarterbacks. But
yes and no yes and no only because I think with Carolina's situation, they're 1 year away from probably having a new regime. If they don't win now, then you're probably gonna replace the head coach.
mm-hmm.
I think they just hired a new GM, so that GM will probably be looking to bring in. If things don't work out this year, that GM will be looking to bring in his head coach, and his head coach will be looking to bring in his quarterback. So it does make it a real difficult situation for a rookie coming in because
Yeah.
you're getting drafted by one regime, but that may not be the regime that ends up, really, really having you, and you can end up being replaced by somebody else next year. We've seen it happen in Arizona with Kyler Murray.
That's true.
But the rest of these situations, I think, are pretty favorable. Like Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh is definitely stable. I don't think there'll be an issue. Atlanta, I think Atlanta for the most part has pretty much been a stable franchise. They had Mike Vick for all those years and Matt Ryan for all those years. So I think those are stable situations. Of course, Washington is different because Washington is all around out of control right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saints definitely stable. The
Stable.
only thing with the with Atlanta is just to add some more young weapons, which I do anticipate that they will do. So yeah, that's a fact. Surprising, coming in at number 4, you have Carson Strong.
Yes. I have Carson Strong at number 4. Look, I don't know much about Carson Strong because I don't watch Nevada play. And unless you're a Nevada fan, I don't think you watching Nevada play either. But when you turn on the highlights for Carson Strong, the first thing that I notice immediately, the thing that I like about him immediately is I like his arm. I believe he has a tremendous arm, and it's just something to, I think it's an immediate strength of his. It reminded me of another quarterback who I liked immediately when I saw his arm strength. Of course, he didn't pan out, but it just put me in the same mindset. Paxton Lynch, when he got drafted a few years ago by the Denver Broncos, I really had high hopes of him because I just believe that arm strength and arm talent is something that you cannot teach. And Carson Strong has a arm. He has a shotgun back there. So
That's true. That's true. Best landing spot for Strong.
I would say the best landing spot for Carson Strong would be the Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings. I think he would fit perfectly in that situation. I think you can bring him in. Of course, they just extended Kirk Cousins, but I don't think they're completely 100% really in love with Kirk Cousins because you can only underachieve for so long, and then things have to change. So I definitely think he could come into that situation and back up Kirk Cousins for a season, maybe 2, and then you have him take over. It's not going to be Kellen Mond.
Do you think they're moving on past Kellen Mond?
Yeah, I wasn't high on Kellen Mond, and it's clear that the Minnesota Vikings aren't high on Kellen Mond, so I don't expect that situation to last long.
Okay. Worst landing spot for Carson Strong to land in. Yeah.
The worst landing spot for Carson Strong. I can't think of a worse landing spot. I don't think like unless you go to Tampa Bay or Green Bay or something like that. I don't think they're really bad landing situations unless There's situations that have established quarterbacks already. That's the only thing. Or if you're in a situation where the regime is already on the chopping block, so you go there, you might not get an opportunity. I do think that he ends up with the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Colts take a flyer on him. You don't have to play him immediately. That franchise has been pretty stable as well. Matt Ryan is 39 years old. He ain't gonna play forever, and clearly they're gonna try to make a playoff run. That's the reason why they brought Matt Ryan in. So you're not trying to tank for quarterbacks next year. You ain't looking at Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud next year. So Carson Strong would be a good option this year to move on to going on to the future.
And they have a nice offensive line. Obviously, they have Jonathan Taylor, Pittman Jr., who had a nice breakout season last year, but I still feel like it was. I know how you feel about Pittman Jr., but honestly, they do need to add more offensive weapons. I don't care if Matt Ryan's the quarterback or whoever's the quarterback. They're definitely going to have to. So if he does land with them, so it's a good destination. And Lord knows they've been searching for a quarterback for a while now. They gave up so much for Carson Wentz, and that didn't work out. So
right,
they better get it right. They better get it right. And coming in at number 5, surprising to me.
Kenny Pickett.
The surprise.
He wasn't even in my top 5 at first, but once I knew you were gonna ask the question about sleepers, I decided to put him in my top 5 so that I can keep my sleeper as a sleeper. But I'm not a fan of Kenny Pickett at all. I don't like anything about him. It's just whatever. I wasn't impressed. I feel like he's the boom or bust guy. He's either gonna come in and be really, really good and validate people for picking him, or he's gonna get a GM fired. Point blank, period. The man is 24 years old. He doesn't have he don't have a ceiling. There's no ceiling for Kenny Pickett. He's already 24. What you see is what you're gonna get. So any team that takes him is doing that with knowing that this is it. He's either gonna be really, really good or he's gonna be really, really bad. Bottom line.
Yeah, and going into a whether that's a startup dynasty league or even if you are just doing your rookie draft, 23 is old. So 24. I'm thinking by the start of the season, I believe he'll be 24, but he's up there in age to be a rookie quarterback, and ceiling is low. Doesn't have a high ceiling being that old, and he's going to have to go to the best situation. Otherwise, with him, I think it's going to be a disaster. If he goes to me, if he goes to the Panthers, I just don't feel like that's going to be a good landing spot for him, in my opinion.
The Carolina Panthers have no choice but to draft Kenny Pickett because that organization, that regime is in win now mode. They want to make a leap now. That's why they don't have time to draft a Malik Willis, who a lot of people feel like is a project quarterback and you can sit him for a year, kind of like a Trey Lance. Carolina's regime doesn't have that. This is it. So they got to hit on Kenny Pickett or they out of there. And then whoever comes in next, it's on them to try to figure out the quarterback situation.
Yeah. Good luck to whoever drafts him because he's definitely not on my board. I'm not drafting him. I know in one of the dynasty leagues we're in together, someone was saying they were drafting him with the 4th pick, and I'm like,
good luck.
All the talent on the board, and that's what you're gonna do? Okay, all right. So let's have a little Q&A regards to the quarterbacks. Give me one sleeper.
My sleeper would have to be Caleb Ellaby. There's nothing to dislike about Caleb Ellaby's game. When you watch him play, he's got a good, strong arm. He can hang in the pocket. He delivers with touch. He will stand in the pocket. He can take a hit and deliver the ball with touch. That's important. A lot of quarterbacks, especially for quarterbacks that get pegged as runners, he doesn't run often, but he can take off and run. He is mobile. He's not a statue, but he's not afraid to hang in the pocket and deliver from the pocket consistently. I like his game, and I think he would definitely be a sleeper. I definitely hope he doesn't go undrafted. I hope he catches on with the team.
Okay, and so if someone is considering him late in their dynasty draft, what round should they target him?
The fourth round. I definitely look to catch him in the fourth round. If you can catch him early in the fourth round, cool. If you have anything else prioritized over quarterback, go with that first. But I would definitely look to target him in the fourth round.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget that those rookie drafts are not just 2 rounds. It's some of them are 4 or 5, and there may be leagues where
Right.
it's more rounds. So you have to do research on the late rounders too, and most people forget about that. So that's a good choice. Good choice. I'm doing my mocks, and he's been available in the mid fourth, and sometimes in the at the beginning of the fifth round. So I
Right.
have a lot of picks in one of my leagues, so I'm looking at him late because again, you take a chance late. I took a chance late with Kellen Mound last year, and I got a second rounder for him. So I mean I jumped all over that because I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Overrated out of these 5 quarterbacks.
Sam Howell. Sam Howell is the most overrated quarterback in this class, and it ain't even close. I think Kenny Pickett's overrated too, but I think Sam Howell is even more overrated than Pickett. He got worse every year in college. If you go back and you look at his numbers and you watch his play, he did not step up. He did not progress. He didn't get better. He actually got worse every season. And the crazy thing is, his best season, he ran the heck out of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Every season afterward, where he ran less, he got worse as a passer. So I'm not sold. I believe he's overrated. He's got that Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel effect, and people kind of just fall in love with those guys. And I'm just not sold.
Yeah, I've been hearing the Baker Mayfield comp, and when I hear that, it scares me away because it's like in today's NFL, Mayfield hasn't even thrown for 4,000 yards. Uh, as a starting quarterback in today's NFL, you got to throw more than 4,000. I'm sorry. So if that is the comparison, and that's what he ends up turning out to be, either one of them, it's like, ooh, terrible pick. So I don't have him on my board. So
If you're desperate and you like his situation, if you feel like he goes into a situation where he can be like a Baker Mayfield, uh, how Baker Mayfield went into Cleveland with Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and they had a superior run game. If Sam Howell goes to a situation like that, then you could probably rely on him for a season, maybe two, before it all falls apart. And look at Baker Mayfield. Nobody even wants to trade for Baker Mayfield, so that tells you something.
yeah, mm-mm. So, he's on my do not draft list. Both of them are okay in a startup dynasty redraft. Not on my list. Do you think any of these quarterbacks hurt their stock during the combine?
No, I don't believe anybody hurt there. Nobody. People aren't high on this draft class of quarterbacks anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think they could get any lower. Of course, they are. I think everybody gained a little bit more. I mean, Kenny Pickett probably ended up getting more questions because, of course, you get the small hands thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that because nobody has any expectations of this class anyway, there wasn't any momentum to lose.
Okay, and are you still sticking with potential bust and Kenny Pickett?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. All right. So, do you have any other information you want to give to our viewers in regards to the rookie quarterbacks prior to the NFL draft and their dynasty draft?
I mean, honestly, you just have to wait and see where everybody goes, and you make your choices by then. The problem is if you don't have a quarterback now, you banking on one of these guys to be a starter, you could probably be disappointed and end up picking quarterbacks again next year. But I kind of feel like if you ain't landing Willis and Corral, don't risk it in the first round. Not for Pickett, not for Howell, not in the first round.
Yeah, I was looking at Ritter late in the first, maybe early second, but again, it really just depends on how things are going during the draft. I'm not reaching for anyone, and again, now I'm not 100% sure about what I'm going to do with pick number 2 if Willis is there, because I just don't have the draft capital to miss with those high 2 picks. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do. It's down to the wire, and I think I'm going to keep flip-flopping until the draft. Anything else?
That's all.
All right, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure your notifications are turned on. You hit that like button. Leave some comments and let us know what your thoughts are of Abutta's top 5 rookie quarterbacks. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast.